What's going on, you guys? Joseph Morrison, aka Kojo Locs, back with another video. If you are new to this channel, welcome, appreciate you. If you're coming back, appreciate you also. In this channel, we talk about locks and lock content, so if that's something you're interested in, for sure hit that subscribe button. Wait till the end of the video, but then hit the like button at the end if you did like it. In today's video, we're specifically going to talk about something that I've been kind of alluding to discussing, and I figured, let's talk about it. We are going to be talking about the crochet hook. So if you've never seen this tool before, we're going to get into it and talk about how it can benefit your locks, how it can help your journey, I guess ways to not abuse it as well. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. We'll talk all about it and go from there. Now before we start, as always, gotta have a sip. H2O. It's my drink of choice. Goes down smooth and it helps these guys grow. So let's talk about the crochet hook. Now, before we even get into me showing it to you, I just want to talk about some of the benefits of the crochet hook and what it can do for you. So essentially what the crochet hook tool is used for is you would go into your lock, right, with the tool, and I'm going to show it to you in a bit. You go into the lock with the tool and it helps to pull frizzing hair back into the lock. And that essentially can help you to control your frizz. So if your hair gets very frizzy, as it does in the starter lock stage, of course, it's a part of the process. But if you're somebody that just, you know, you're trying to mitigate that frizz, you don't really want to allow it to kind of be or grow as naturally and be as frizzy as it wants to be, you kind of want to control that, whether it be for work or just because you prefer to see it not as frizzy, then the crochet hook would be a very good tool for you, because that crochet hook again is going to help you to pull that frizz into the locks that they're supposed to be in, or into the parted sections that they're supposed to be in, and that will help to promote the locking process, because as you're pulling those hairs into the lock, it's causing the hairs to easily or get closer together and making it easier for them to start tangling up, which is what's going to start the budding, and budding is what you need to really start to mature your locks. So that's number one. Number two, and this is something that I personally didn't do, but you can do it. It can actually, the crochet hooking tool can actually be used to get you instant locks. Like, so let's say you already have your comb coil or your interlock start to your locks. You can just use that tool and just keep pulling at that lock, pulling all those hairs in. And the longer you do that to the lock, the tighter it's going to get, because you keep pulling those hairs in tighter and tighter and tighter. So you can instantly lock your hair that way. And obviously once you do that, you still have to wait for your hair to mature, but you're just kind of giving yourself a head start and kind of potentially eliminating that frizzing stage altogether. So, you can look at this as a method to, get rid of or eliminate or mitigate the ugly stage. In my last video, I talked about the ugly stage, so check that out. I'll post a link up above showing the video where I talked about the ugly stage, but ultimately it is a part of the process, I believe, and it's something that I think you should embrace. But if you want to eliminate that or mitigate it, use your crochet hook. So without further ado, I just want to kind of show you guys how it works. Yeah, we'll just go from there. So in order for this to work, I'm gonna have to get you to get a little closer. So let's get a little intimate here for a second. Let's get right up close and personal, shall we? Boom. All right. So I guess before I jump into doing it, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that there are different sizes, and I'll just show you exactly what it looks like. This is the tool. I like the ones with the handle because it's just easier to handle. If you can see the tip of it, there's a little hook on it right there, right? Now it comes in different sizes, like 0.5 millimeter, 0.75 millimeter. The purpose of that is just essentially the hair texture that you have, what stage of maturity your hair is at, or just personal preference will determine which one you use. I like to use the 0.5 or 0.75 millimeter one, just because, no real reason, just personal preference, to be honest. I just find that it works a little bit better for me. Without further ado, I'll show you how it works. So let's pick a lock. Let's say this one, right? So as you can see in this lock, there's frizzing at the end here, right? It's, there isn't too much around it. There's a lot of new growth under it, but we're not talking about that right now. But there's a lot of, see how the top is just really frizzy and whatnot? So the first thing you want to do is the direction that your hair is going. So when you get comb coils, or if you get interlocks, typically you want to be coiling your hair one way. So for me, it is clockwise. So what I do to start is I'm going to turn that hair just like that So I'm gathering all the loose hairs and just kind of getting them together. And then I'm gonna put them in my fingers just like this. So I'm kind of putting them between my fingers like that. So the end of my lock is gonna be, it's almost like this, right? So this is my lock, and the end of my lock is here, twisted, and I'm just holding on to it like this, right? So as I do that, I'm gonna hold on to it, make sure it's nice and tight. Now I'm gonna get my hook. So the part of the hook, and you can see it there, I want that part to be going against my thumb. Now you always want to be pulling in towards the actual root, right? You don't want to be pulling away because that's, you know, where your hair is growing from, right? So you want to pull in from there. So I'm going to go in through the middle of the lock and then come out through the other side, as you can see, and I'm just slowly pulling the hair into the lock as I'm twisting the hair. Okay? So just very slowly pulling and twisting, and you can kind of see the thing coming in and out, just like that. And as you're going, you'll be able to feel those loose hairs coming in together. And I just work my way all the way down to the end of the lock. And again, the good thing about this is you can do as much or as little as you want, depending on how far along you want to go. So again, you could like straight up like instantly get your hair fully locked if you'd like. I just like to use it once in a while to tighten up some of the locks that I can kind of feel coming undone. I would have definitely got a retwist by now, but since we are in a pandemic, obviously that's not really the case. So for me, I've been using the crochet hooking tool just to kind of help to control some of the locks that I can feel are just really not wanting to stay together. So I'm almost done this one here. So I'm just twisting as I go along, pulling it all in. Nice. And now, still a little bit of frizz here at the end, and what you can do with that is you just fold that over, right? Go back into the lock with your crochet hook, and then just try to pull those frizzing hairs into the tip of the lock, just like that. So you can already see it's just much better. The hairs are a lot tighter, not as much frizzing around the lock as there was before. And you could literally do this all over just to kind of help mitigate some of that frizzing. So you can just see that one lock, it just looks a lot cleaner, right? And now I don't have to worry about that hair frizzing too much. And for me, I like to just do it a little bit, and I'll just get you to back up a little bit because you kind of up on my grill right now. So again, I like to do it just to help to manage some of the frizz I feel when, so for my hair, I have 2C hair type, and I'll show you that picture again of the different hair types. So if you don't know your hair type, it's very important to know that. But my hair type is the type that doesn't want to stay locked very easily. It's a lot straighter, a lot looser. So it just comes undone a lot easier. So I like to kind of go in when I feel like the hair is starting to really fan out, and to the point where my interlocks are almost wanting to start to unlock. Then I'll go in with the crochet hook and just do some light crochet hooking just to kind of keep the ends together a little bit better. Another thing now you want to think about too is you don't want to be doing crochet hooking too much. Like if you're crochet hooking every single day, re-crochet hooking different locks, now you're kind of disrupting the process of the locking. And again, the frizzing is a part of the process, so you don't want to just be doing it all the time. I'll do it once a week, maybe. I try to do it as little as possible because I think the frizzing is an important part of the process, and it's a part that you should just go through naturally as best as possible and try not to manipulate as much, right? So that would just be my advice. I mean, if you're somebody who does want to just get instant locks and just crochet hook like crazy until you get there, go for it. It's just something that I like to use personally to, as I mentioned, keep the locks under control a little bit and make sure that we're heading in the right direction. And that's really it. And real briefly, I'll go into just talking a little bit about the different sizes. So again, there's a 0.5 millimeter. You have a 0.7 millimeter that you can use. There's even ones that come with 2 or 3 prongs. So these ones are more for if you have longer hair, longer locks, more mature locks. It just allows you to cover more surface area as you're going through the locks. So these ones I won't be using for a while, but you know, just something to be able to refer to. And there are ones that you can get again at your local health beauty store, or if you got to get it online, do what you got to do. That's pretty much it. You know, it's a good tool to help to use to mitigate frizzing, and if it's something that you want to do once in a while, go for it. If you have any tips for me about crochet hooking, or if there's any questions that you have, please leave it in the comments below. We can discuss. And other than that, stay tuned for my next video. It's coming out shortly. I'm probably gonna do one on washing for starter locks. I think that's something that a lot of people, like I wanted to know a lot about and I wasn't sure about. So maybe that'll be the next video I do, but stay tuned. Same bat time next week, same channel. Stay in touch. Kojo Locs, signing out. Peace and love.